that stamp that we got in the September kit is what started this all off, and I thought I'd use the paints from the August kit. Both of them are from Vicky Bouton and are delightful. So just a brush here to spread out the paint, adding a bit of a diagonal look to it, and I just wanted to fill that space down through the middle with this darker pink, and then I come in with the lighter pink that we got together in that box of paints last month. So add a little bit up there just so that it isn't so pedantic looking. I made it more, fluid. Using wipe to wipe it off. I really like those silicone brushes, which I just got at Eccles's, and they are just so nice to spread paint on or spread modelling paste or whatever you want to use them for. But they're the size and the shape of a paintbrush, and they have a little bit of they have the same kind of a tip and stuff. So they look like a paintbrush, but when you use them, there's no bristles that spread or anything like that. So you get a a paintbrush kind of a look without all the bristle kind of strokes through it and whatnot. What a lot of talk about one little brush. Well, it really wasn't that interesting for you guys. Sorry. So just like I said, just filling the paint filling the page with the paint, and it's just a simple old Dilutions art journal, nothing spectacular about it, and just some paint on there. So just making it look more random by putting some lighter pink in a few spots. I thought I'd use the stencil that we got in the main kit and a wipe, and it just pulls out some of the colour by doing that. It works so much better on the darker colour, but you can see a little bit on the lighter colour, so I still go ahead and do that side as well. It's a really cool technique actually. It's very fun to do. Just make sure you wipe it off, and I thought I'd put down some washi now, because as always, the washi is adorable in the kits, and this time we got a lot of washi, and we need to use it all. Otherwise, it's just going to sit in our stash and might get forgotten. So there's this lovely pinky floral one, and then this green floral one as well. And that's just going to go very simply on there. I do fight with it a bit, and I do end up tossing and turning about if I want this one on there, and do I want it on there this way or that way, or goodness gracious, there was a lot of washi decisions to be done with just two little strips, but got there in the end, and that's the main thing. Sometimes these are the way things go, and that's why I thought I'd leave it in there, so that you could see that not all my decisions all work out the first time. So I thought I'd stamp a butterfly on there, and then I remembered that we had these butterflies in the ephemera pack, and that it would be a lot easier if I just used that rather than stamping that image, just in case it didn't work very well. And I got a little bit of the paint on there because, you know me, I haven't dried my art journal page, so I purposely get a bit more paint on that butterfly by smushing it around on the paper. And then I'm just trying to layer it up with a label, and that just gives it a nice little spot to ground and to land on, and that's going to be the first part that draws your eye to the art journal page. Here I am again, fiddling with the washi tape. I don't know. Sometimes you just get fixated on things, and for some reason you just can't make them work, but it really in reality is just not that hard. I just don't know why I have to make it so tricky that you do things over and over and over. That's part of the creative process sometimes. So sticking the label down, does look much better with just the one strip of washi, and that way it just isn't too overwhelming where the butterfly is going to sit. Just adding a bit of paint to the label just so that it blends in rather than looking like something's just splat on top of the paint. And the things I do later with it also bring the label into the background rather than being plonked on top. So got the butterfly down, and I'm getting out some ink pads and getting the stamps happening. So I'm just going to do some Distress Oxide. I'm just putting it straight there on my art sheet. Not adding any water, but using it to stamp out these little dots. They're so nice, and this works so well. The stamp is amazing quality, and with the Distress Oxide ink, without it watered down, they work so well. It's just really nice. So wipe it off, and I'm going to do some of the, I thought I was going to do blue, but no. Going to use this circle of little dots. These stamps look so awesome. I'm so glad we got it in the kit. I've been eyeing these kind of stamps off for a little bit, and was so happy when the unboxing reveal night, and then I had to see it in person. They do come with dies, so if you've got a die cutting machine, then you get to stamp, you could stamp those butterflies and then use the die to cut them out so that you didn't have to fussy cut them. But I do not have one of those die cutting machines anymore. I did a while ago, but I sold it, and so for me that is not a bonus, but I could definitely see the potential. Oh, what else am I going to do? So I've stamped using the black now to put some of these crosses onto the page, and I'm sorry the bottom of it's out of line of the camera. And now I just mix some of the blue and the pink because it's running out of the ink that's on the art sheet, and these are some smaller dots in a bigger cluster. So pretty much I'm just trying to fill the page with a bit of interest and delight to look at and to explore as your eyes float around the page. Those Distress Oxide inks are so juicy. It looks like there's no ink there on the art sheet, but if you just rub that stamp through there, there's plenty of ink for sure. So just getting out some paint markers, just doing some ink splatters, and then I come up with a fun and very effective way. So I'm just going to draw on top of the stamps. So we're going to have some of these circles in another pink tone, and I was so surprised that it worked so well. I'm just literally drawing on a stamp. I was like, woo woo. Sometimes you just got to be so proud of things that you do. Just going to do some crosses just to bring in some of those, bring the black crosses into balance, and just pretty much just having to play with stamps and paint markers and just all the icons and all the colours of the rainbow. Not really, because I only really use pink and black and blue, maybe green. Oh yeah, blue because of the Distress Oxides. Oh yeah, so as you can see, it's filling up but not overwhelming the eye. So here comes some of the blue paint marker. Did get some big splatters there, but that's okay. Using it again on the stamp. And that's going to make, look at these, watch. It's such a beautiful colour, and it prints and stamps so well. Like, ta-da! Even me watching it back now, I'm just like, oh, such a good feeling when I was stamping those. It worked really well, and it looks so effective and lovely, and yeah, it's just so nice. And the other good thing is that the colour tones are also brought in different ways, not just using that colour tone in one way and making everything else blend. It's nice to use the paint marker in a variety of ways as well. They are very, very versatile, so it's good to have them all over, all over in terms of technique and ability. So X's are very easy to draw, so I'm sure everyone can do X's and circles. They're very striking when they are used on a page, so definitely try that out for sure. Now, I was trying to work out what else I wanted while I was doing this, so I am just stamping on those circle of dots. It was lacking some of them and needed it. I was trying to work out what else I was going to put on my layout so that it, whether it be a quote or, other pieces, because it was just looking, even though there's lots of detail going on, it was just looking a bit, just that, like it just needed something else to stand out on the background as well. So, got out my gold marker, and you can just see I'm just dotting it onto there so that it gets the colour on. And here is the brush tip marker, a pit pen, yeah, it's pit pen. And I'm just using that to do some black circles because the only black on there at the moment are the black crosses. So it definitely needed a bit more black. And yeah, like you can tell, it just needs some, there's probably lots of pens that would work so well doing this. It just needs to be able to be some juicy ink coming out. Not massive that it's so super wet, but just that the ink doesn't dry super quick when you use it to draw. So just cleaning up all the little bits and pieces that I've got. I then added a black border because I still can't think and work out what I want to do with the rest of the page. Like I said, whether it be a quote or another focal image or something. But that's okay. I will get there in the end, and I really do like the way it does turn out in the end. So that's always a nice plus when you make something and at stages you're not too sure what you're doing or what what the finished product's going to be. And as you can see, I'm just using black acrylic paint and my finger to just smudge it onto the page. So I'm sort of inking the edges but also making a thick border as well so that it is encompassing the page to make it stand out by itself rather than having it, the edges just all of a sudden end without any purpose. But yeah, so you can see the difference that makes just by bordering up the edges. So getting out my gold pen again, being careful because there's black paint to the side there. I just left it there just in case I wanted to do something with it. Plus there is a fair amount. I don't know why I squirted out so much paint for a border, but I do end up putting it in my Use It Up journal. So that is okay, not wasted at all. So you can see I'm just having fun with exploring paint markers and putting the different shapes, so the circles and the dots and the circles. Did I just say circles twice? The crosses. Crosses, circles and dots all over in the different colours. So just filling in if there's any, holes that look like they shouldn't be there. And yeah, as you can see, it comes together so very easily. There's not much to it. You don't have to think. You just have to stamp and draw and, add an image and some washi tape so far. And just see what your eye draws you to when you just, it's fun to just explore and let your hand just draw without overthinking it. And here is where I go to the next stage. I then remember I made these DIY embellishments, and this one here is pretty flat in terms of DIY embellishments for me, that's for sure. And it's going to end up in that top corner as a lovely big focal image and to balance off the look. So just adding a bit more washi because it's got some lovely colour tones to it. And I'm just going to peel off this heart sticker, and you can see how easily they go down onto the page. I did rough up some of the edges so that it is a bit bubbled, and that makes it look like it's got texture up the wazoo and fits in so lovely with the art journal page that I'm doing. I always say we. And then I realised I'm not going to use the paint for my Use It Up journal. Instead, I'm going to use it as a title. So I'm starting with the word always on that embellishment, and I'm going to write always love in the air. So sort of tying the heart and the flying animal, the butterfly, in together with this quote. So sweet and lovely. And lo and behold, I did not have to look up Pinterest for this really deep and meaningful quote. It all came from my head, from hearing it another time. Don't know that you can really call it a quote, more like a sentence. So just using my paintbrush, a really thin one, and just writing it in a few different fonts. I was going to say tones. You don't write in tones, you write in fonts. and I just like the way that looks. And it ties it in, brings it in a diagonal kind of a look with the heart, then the words with the butterfly. And it's so bold because of the black, but then I really wanted it to stand out even more, but also to tie in with the background. So I'm using my paint marker to outline the words, and of course I did not wait for the paint to dry, so I'm being very, very careful. And I do go back in with a paintbrush after I clean my paint marker. It's just a really terrible habit of mine. If I stopped and waited for it to dry, I'd either move on to another project and not want to come back to it, or two, I would go and do something else in the house or even out of the house and not come back to it, because I don't like to start creative projects in like in stages. I like to just finish them. So as much as I can do without mucking around with drying. I do have a heat gun that I do end up using every now and then, but even then, I don't know. I just get around it with little things and little issues, I guess, because I do become issues when I have to, work out what's happening with the pen. So sorry, I'm just fixing up what I was watching. So just using the pink here to outline the word air. And I'm thinking that I will just leave the words in and the by themselves there with just the black writing. But instead, I go over them with gold. They are dried by now. And then I outline them with black. So instead of using the black paint though, which would be very fiddly, I do go over it with the black Pitt pen. Instead, I realised that I needed a bit more of the black paint in the background because it's a different texture and colour shade than the marker and the stamp is. So it's nice to just put some dotted lines all over the page. Well, not all over, but in places over the page. So yeah, so there's my title. That was really simple and easy to do, and we're going in to the close-up. So I'll catch you next time and have a great day. Bye.